Greetings people, it's Jared here, Wolfgang1, back to do another Transformers review. Now, last week I reviewed the Autobot Battle Patrol, and I had quite a fun time doing it, actually. Nice to revisit something from my childhood. So I thought this week I would step back again into the world of Micromasters and review something not from my childhood, but would have been, like, I guess, the antithesis, the corresponding team to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am taking a look at a 1990 release. This is the review for the Generation 1 Decepticon Military Patrol. Okay, so here is the Decepticon Military Patrol. Again, just like all the Micromaster sets, they would have come in a pack of 4. And if you want to know what the packaging would look like, refer to last week's review, the Autobot Battle Patrol. Now, I didn't have these ones as a kid. I only picked these up as an adult. And if I'd have had these as a kid, for me, they would have been a good folly to the Autobot Battle Patrol that I showed off last week. But these guys came out the year after. These came out in 1990, in the last year of the Western release of G1. So I would imagine that these guys are a little bit rarer to get hold of than, obviously, last week's review. So we're going to do much like we're going to get rid of these 3 first. We're going to concentrate on this guy just here. Okay, let's get rid of these ones. And this guy here is Growl. Growl. So this guy here, I guess, would have gone off, in my mind as a kid, would have gone up against Big Shot or Big Dick or whatever his name was. And he turns into like a little armoured car thing with a weapon. Now, weirdly enough, Micromasters didn't come with, as a general rule, the teams didn't come with like removable accessory parts. This team, however, has 2 figures that do that. Incidentally, if anybody can hear any like sort of loud banging or anything around me, it's because recently we just had a 3-year-old move in upstairs, and I don't think her mother can afford the exorcism as of yet. So we're holding out hope for that. But moving on. So this is Growl, and this is his little detachable part just here. Okay, now the last character, and that I'm going to kind of show to the little black helicopter, he has detachable parts as well. But as I said, generally Micromaster didn't have this. Off the top of my head, not that I can think of, the Micromaster teams didn't have detachable parts. But there we are. There we are. I'm going to put that back on, and the gun will spin around because it comes off so fucking easily like that. The gun would spin around a whole 360 degrees. As I said, it's a little brown armored car. Looks semi-decent. I've got to say, if you notice any dust coming up on the camera, it's because these things have quite a lot of sculpted detail, especially, well, more so in the vehicle modes than anything else. And as a result, they've got a lot of nooks and crannies, and it's difficult to try and get all the dust out of them. So in some senses, like in terms of this one, I've done all right. In the other ones, not so much. And being a Micromaster, obviously, there's only like really 2 steps or whatever out of transformation. The transformation for these was never difficult. These were designed to be enjoyed as a wider whole, like sort of play sets and things like that. But you know, this is little Growl. I quite like Growl for what he is. It's pretty cool. I mean, you can see that pretty much the robot mode on the underside. You can do that with most Transformers, actually, if you come to think of it. And transforming him, as I said, is not difficult. Let's take off his little gun, because that will come into play in just a moment. We fold out the back of the car, just like this. Like that. Flip the hood of the car back as a little backpack. Stand the bastard up. And there we are. That is Growl in robot mode. You can move his stumpy little Tom Wally arms. You can move his little arms just like that. And the gun will fit just very, very nicely into this little porch just here. So it's got a little side-mounted weapon. I think it actually probably would have been cool if the cannon had sat a little bit further back in this one just here. That would have made a little bit more sense for me, but whatever. This is where it goes. Yeah, and that's Growl in robot mode. Not a hell of a lot to say about him. I can't even zoom in on the head sculpt. Oh, there we are. No real discernible details on the face because he's so small. He's got a nice little visor. Too much to ask for the visor to be painted a different colour to his face, but whatever. Again, and as with other Micromasters, the colours are inverted on the team members. So I'll come on to his corresponding colour scheme in the last one of this review. So that's Growl just there. And I think he's actually the best out of the 4, really. In terms of like sort of overall design and like sort of like character look, for me he's the best looking one. Okay, so we're going to set Growl off just to the side like that. Next, we're going to come to this little thing. It's an armored car, and this one is called Dropshot. So I'm going to give kudos to whoever keep thinking up the names for these things, because by the time you've got to like 1990, and you've got like sort of like God knows how many hundreds of characters with like really really weird names, and you're still coming up with little names even into like 1990. I think that's pretty impressive. So this is Drop Shot. Drop Shot doesn't have a disposable removable weapon, so but it would have been nice to have this double barrel thing come off and plug onto the side of him. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Battle Trap, if you will, sort of like a merging of like sort of Battle Trap's weapon and half of his alt mode. Everything is in block blue, so there's no paint detail at all. Picking out the details of like the little windows just here, or what the windows are supposed to be. So he's a, what does it say? He's a blue tank. That's what he is. Drop Shot is a blue tank. So there we are. Again, I would have thought more sort of like armored van, but whatever. Apparently, this is a tank. And transforming it again is not in any way remotely difficult. Sadly, as I said, this part doesn't come off, but you flip out the back of the vehicle just like this. Hey, a little bit stiff in the legs there. That's actually good to see from a Micromaster, believe it or not. And then pull down the hood of the car to form the chest, and then stand the fucker up, and then that is Drop Shot just there. I mean, you can move his little arms just like that. But in terms of the transformation, in terms of the build, his design is pretty standard, I would say. He's got the very, very similar chest there that would have been used on like the Decepticon Sports Car Patrol, and sort of thing like that. So that's Drop Shot. Yeah, he's all right. Check out his little face just there. Again, would have been nice for a white visor on the red face, but you know, it's a very, very small figure. The fucker's about 2 inches tall or whatever. So we're not going to be expecting miracles on these guys. But yeah, that's little Drop Shot for what he is. He's fine, funky, and all the rest of it. Now we're going to come on to the green tank. The green tank is called Bomb Shock. This is Bomb Shock. Not really a lot to say about Bomb Shock, but he's a green tank. It's pretty cool in the sense that his turret will go all the way around. Turret does a full 360, and the cannon will even move up and down. Now, that's some far more articulation than I would have expected out of a Micromaster, quite frankly. But it's nice to see that they included it. They didn't have to. They could have just made it go about as far as that and as far as that, really. And I think, you know, the 7-year-old child who got it would have been quite happy with that. Again, decent amount of sculpted detail for such a small figure, really. This one's a little looser in the arms. Maybe would have been nice to have, you know, as you've got removable parts, this section for this to plug into the arm and that, but I guess that would have been a little bit too much like Bludgeon. And who would have thought they could have made a Decepticon tank smaller than fucking Bludgeon? Well, here he is, ladies and gentlemen. This is, I can't remember the cunt's name already, Bomb Shock. Right, so Growl, Drop Shot, and Bomb Shock. Right. Right, here we go. So transforming him, again, not difficult. We're just going to move the turret out of the way. We're going to flip out the front of the tank for the legs. Or drop the fucker. Entirely up to you. Jesus, there we go. And then bring down the back section, and that will form his chest. And then spin this up, so the barrel is facing up, and then that right there is Bomb Shock. This one so far has got the if I can get it to zoom in. Well, zoom in or do something. He's the one who's actually got the most facial detail. He's even got a little nose, bless him. But apart from that, no real discernible detail. I mean, nothing here on the chest. It would have been nice for a little bit of sculpted detail just here, or maybe a sticker, just so that wasn't just like a block green of like literally less than fuck all. Some of the paint going over the lines there, as you can see for the tank treads. And some of the paint is chipped away around his crotch area, and around the waistband. But yeah, apart from that, that's Bomb Shock. He's all right. I mean, he's nothing special. I mean, he's really nothing special, but he's, you know, not offensive. So yeah, I don't mind him so much. But I'd still say that in terms of overall proportions and everything like that, Growl, the brown armored tank, the tan armored tank, is still my favourite one. So that's what did I say his name was? Bomb Shock. Right, so Growl, Drop Shot, and Bomb Shock. Right. And then lastly, we come to this little fella. And this one is called Tracer. Okay, so this turns into like maybe a what is it? What kind of helicopter? It doesn't say what kind of helicopter, but it turns into a helicopter. And this one by far has the weirdest alt mode and the weirdest robot mode, because I guess they didn't know what to do with this back section. Let me take this. This is his removable part, by the way. You can take his blades off, right? I guess they didn't know what to do with this back section, which I can sort of understand why. So maybe don't make him a fucking helicopter, but you know, whatever. We've had ambulances, speedboats, fire engines, off-road vehicles, military vehicles. You know, a little plane or a whole bunch of planes. Why don't we throw a fucking helicopter into the mix? I'll tell you why. Because this is the end result. This is by far, ladies and gentlemen, the worst one for me. In the sense that his robot mode is awkward as fuck. His alt mode actually is awkward as fuck. Nice little bit of blue paint actually just to pick out the helicopter windows. If anybody knows what sort of helicopter this is supposed to be, then leave a message in the comments and I'll acknowledge it. But on the face of it, this is a bit shit. I wish I could be a little bit kinder than that, but let's be honest, that's not going to happen. So we're going to take this guy straight to robot mode because this is just like horseshit. So take off the rotor blades, stretch out this section just here, and fold it down. I mean, I say stretch it out, just like move it down like that. Fold up the tail thing just like that, and then bring down this entire front cockpit section. That will reveal the head. Fold it round, and then that's Tracer in robot mode. Move his little arms forward, and then you give him his accessory by plugging it on the side. Now, plugging it on the side like that kind of reminds me a little bit of I can't remember the Decepticon's name from the first Transformers 07 movie, the first Michael Bay movie. You had the Decepticon who had the who could use his rotor blades as a weapon. Yeah, can't remember his name. You'd think I would be able to remember his name, but you know what? It's not going to keep me up at night if I don't remember it. So don't worry about that. And that's Tracer. I mean, he is a bit shit. He is very, very uninspiring, very, very underwhelming, and that right there, a Micromaster with kibble, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I mean, you could argue that Bomb Shock just here has a little bit of kibble with the way that his fucking gun sticks up like that. But I mean, a Micromaster with kibble, that's a bit noticeable right there, isn't it? Just not a very good design, and not a very good thought out design. But yeah, he is the worst one of this team, quite frankly. So let's get the team all together. Let's get the band back together, ladies and gentlemen. Or yeah, do you know what? Fuck it. So these fuckers won't even stand up. Right, there we are. Stop it. Stop it. Right. There we are. This one isn't standing up at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is the Decepticon Military Patrol. See if I can remember them now. Growler, Drop Shot, Growler, Drop Shot, Bomb Shock, and Tracer. Right there. That's the Decepticon Military Patrol. Yeah. I don't think they're as good as the Autobot Battle Patrol. Let's put it that way. They're a little bit underwhelming. As I said, I do like this little fella just here. I think I've done them in order that I actually prefer them. This guy at the bottom is just the biggest questionable piece of shit I've seen in quite a long time. And I've got Pretenders in my collection, ladies and gentlemen. So there we are. That says a lot about him. So this is the review for the Decepticon Military Patrol. Do hope you enjoyed watching this. If you can get hold of a set, then do it. I mean, they're a fantastic way to bump out any collection, Micromasters. I think the concept for them is fantastic, and a massive shame that recent attempts to do Micromasters fell so flat on their ass because the Micromaster turns into a really unconvincing weapon for a bigger Transformer world. Or you could have done the fucking playset option again, right, and given them a whole new lease of life, and people would have fucking lapped it up. But no, No, you had to take a semi-decent idea and fuck it up again. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my overall review for the Decepticon Military Patrol. Do check back next week when I will have probably more Micromaster goodness for you, because I'm quite enjoying doing these. I'll be back next week. Until then, thank you for watching and take care.
And when tomorrow comes, I feel you laying by me, like you ain't got nowhere else to go.